Have you ever heard of someone so brilliant they won not one, but two Nobel Prizes? And not just in the same field, but into completely different scientific disciplines? Today, we're diving into the extraordinary life of Marie Curie, a woman who didn't just break glass ceilings, she shattered them with the sheer force of her intellect and determination. Her story isn't just about science, it's a powerful tale of passion, perseverance, and changing the world against all odds. So, who was Marie Curie before she became a household name? Born Maria Skłodowska in Warsaw, Poland, in 1867, she grew up in a world that wasn't exactly welcoming to ambitious young women. At the time, Poland was under Russian rule, and opportunities for higher education for women were virtually non-existent. But from a young age, Maria had an insatiable curiosity and a mind that craved knowledge. Her father, a teacher of mathematics and physics, nurtured this spark, instilling in her a deep love for science. She excelled in her studies, graduating from high school at just 15 with top honors. But her academic journey was far from over. Blocked from attending the men-only University of Warsaw, Maria and her sister Bronisława made a pact. Maria would work as a governess to support Bronisława's medical studies in Paris. And once her sister was established, she would help Maria in return. For years, Maria worked, saving every penny and studying science and math on her own in her spare time. It was a period of immense sacrifice, but her dream of studying in Paris burned brighter than ever. Finally, in 1891, at the age of 24, Maria made her way to Paris and enrolled at the prestigious Sorbonne. Life was tough. She lived in a small, unheated attic, often surviving on little more than bread and tea. She was so focused on her studies that she sometimes fainted from hunger. Despite these hardships, she was in her element, surrounded by the greatest scientific minds of the era. She threw herself into her work, and her brilliance quickly became apparent. In 1893, she earned her degree in physics, finishing first in her class. The following year, she earned a second degree in mathematics. It was around this time that her life took another fateful turn. She was looking for a larger lab space to conduct her research on the magnetic properties of steel. A colleague introduced her to a French physicist named Marie Curie, who was the head of a laboratory at the School of Industrial Physics and Chemistry. They were a perfect match, not just in their shared passion for science, but in their personalities. Pierre was so impressed by her dedication and intellect that he offered her a space in his lab. A scientific partnership blossomed into a romance, and in 1895, they married, becoming the iconic scientific duo, the Curies. Now, let's get to the science that made her a legend. Marie was fascinated by the recent discovery of mysterious rays emitted by uranium, a phenomenon discovered by Henry Becquerel. While other scientists were moving on to different topics, Marie decided to make these Becquerel rays the subject of her doctoral thesis. This was a bold move. It was a new, obscure field with no guarantee of results. Using the clever instrument developed by Pierre, she began meticulously measuring the faint rays coming from uranium. She soon made a groundbreaking discovery. The intensity of the radiation was directly proportional to the amount of uranium present, regardless of its chemical form. This led her to a revolutionary hypothesis. The radiation was not the result of a chemical reaction, but an intrinsic property of the uranium atoms themselves. This idea was radical. It challenged the long-held belief that atoms were indivisible and unchanging. To describe this phenomenon, she coined a new term, radioactivity. But she didn't stop there. Her curiosity pushed her further. She tested other elements and found that thorium was also radioactive. Then came the real puzzle. She was examining a mineral called pitchblende, a uranium ore, and noticed something strange. The pitchblende was significantly more radioactive than the pure uranium it contained. The only logical conclusion was that there must be another, undiscovered element within the pitchblende that was far more radioactive than uranium. Pierre, recognizing the monumental importance of her findings, set aside his own research to join her quest. What followed was a Herculean task. They worked in a drafty, leaky shed next to their lab, a space an observer once described as a cross between a stable and a potato cellar. For long years, they toiled, processing tons of pitchblende. It was grueling physical labor. They stirred boiling cauldrons of the heavy, black material, painstakingly isolating the tiny, unknown radioactive components. Marie would later describe these years as the happiest of her life, filled with the thrill of discovery. Their hard work paid off spectacularly. In July 1898, they announced the discovery of a new element, which they named polonium in honor of Marie's beloved homeland, Poland. But they knew there was still another, even more powerful element hiding in their samples. Just a few months later, in December 1898, they identified a second new element. It was so intensely radioactive that it glowed in the dark. They named it radium from the Latin word radius, meaning ray. The discovery of polonium and radium sent shockwaves through the scientific community. It opened up a whole new field of physics and fundamentally changed our understanding of matter and energy. In 1903, in recognition of their joint research on radioactivity, Marie Curie, Pierre Curie, and Henry Becquerel were awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics. Marie Curie had officially become the first woman in history to win a Nobel Prize. Initially, the nominating committee intended to honor only Pierre and Becquerel, completely overlooking Marie's foundational contribution. It was Pierre who insisted that her name be included, stating that the research was her original idea and that she deserved to be recognized for it. Tragedy struck in 1906 when Pierre was killed in a street accident, leaving Marie devastated and alone with two young daughters, Oran and Eve. Despite her profound grief, she refused to be defeated. The Sorbonne offered her Pierre's professorship, a position he had just recently obtained. In accepting, she became the first female professor in the university's 650-year history. She poured her energy into her work, determined to continue the scientific legacy she and Pierre had built together. She went on to isolate pure radium metal, a feat that had eluded them before, and further define its properties. For this incredible achievement, she was awarded a second Nobel Prize in 1911, this time in chemistry. This made her the first person ever to win two Nobel Prizes, and to this day, she remains the only person to have won into different scientific fields. This second prize, however, was shadowed by a vicious public scandal and xenophobic attacks from the French press, a testament to the immense challenges she faced as a woman and a foreigner in the public eye. When World War I broke out, Marie Curie once again demonstrated her ingenuity and dedication to humanity. Recognizing that X-rays could help surgeons locate shrapnel in wounded soldiers, she developed mobile radiography units. These were vans equipped with X-ray machines powered by a dynamo that ran off the vehicle's engine. Along with her teenage daughter Oran, she drove these units, which became known as Petites Curies, or Little Curies, to the front lines. She trained over 150 women as X-ray operators, and it's estimated that her mobile units treated over 1 million soldiers, saving countless lives and limbs. She was a scientist who didn't just stay in the lab. She took her knowledge directly to where it was needed most. Marie Curie's legacy is immeasurable. Her pioneering research on radioactivity paved the way for nuclear energy and for new cancer treatments using radiation therapy. But her legacy extends far beyond her scientific discoveries. She was a trailblazer who fought for her place in a male-dominated world, inspiring generations of women to pursue careers in science, technology, engineering, and math. Her own daughter, Oran Curie, followed in her footsteps, winning the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1935 with her husband, Frederick Joliot Curie. Marie Curie died in 1934 from a blood disease, likely caused by her decades of exposure to radiation. At the time, the dangers of radioactive materials were not yet understood, as she often carried test tubes of radium in her pocket. Her research notebooks are still so radioactive today that they are stored in lead-lined boxes and can only be handled by people wearing protective clothing. She literally gave her life for science. Marie Curie's story is a powerful reminder that curiosity, when combined with courage and relentless perseverance, can change the world. She proved that genius knows no gender and that barriers are meant to be broken. Her life wasn't just about discovering elements, it was about discovering the limitless potential of the human mind. What part of Marie Curie's story inspires you the most? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the life of a scientific icon, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more stories about the remarkable people who shaped our world. See you in the next one.